Welcome back to our series about OnPage SEO. I'm your host, Kevin Fairbanks, and in this lesson, we are going to discuss the anatomy of a web page. Before we get started, I want to remind you that you have the Rank Daddy community and the team at SEO Outsource here to help you. Diving into the technical side of SEO is not for everyone. Having great partners is key to your success. Before we dive into the page, let's talk about how you got there. URL structure. A URL is basically the address of the web page and one of the key components of on-page SEO that is often overlooked. The URL not only helps Google understand your architecture, but it will also help the user. Our key takeaways here: keep it short and include your keywords. If you look at our bad examples, the very first one is a very long URL. Somebody is not going to type that in. They're only going to click it from the web browser. The second bad example doesn't tell us really what the page is about. Now, if our page was about reverse osmosis units, a good example would be the one we have displayed. Web pages have two sides to them. The visual side, what we see when we visit the web page in a browser, and the code side is what makes up that visual version. The code side is what the search engines use to determine what your web page is about. As we continue to discuss the anatomy of a web page, we'll be looking at both the visual makeup and the code. We will also be showing you where to find the elements within WordPress, a commonly used content management system for websites. The header and footer sections of a web page are the areas which are found at the top and bottom and are usually the same across multiple pages in a website. Often you find things such as a logo, menu navigation, contact information, or the copyright located in the header and footers. The area between these makes up the body section of our web page. We are not going to spend much time on them, just simply need you to be aware of the header, footer, and body as we reference the locations in later sections. Meta tags are fields which are not usually displayed on the screen to a visitor, but are used by the search engines. While I'm showing you a variety of meta tags on the screen, don't let that overwhelm you, as they are just an example. We will go into greater detail later on some of the extras. For now, I'd like to concentrate on just a couple key elements. The title and description tags have a large impact on how your web page ranks, as it tells both the user and search engines what the topic of your web page is. For the title tag, it needs to be between 50 and 60 characters. Even though some search engines allow longer, you don't want it getting cut off. Your title tag needs to be unique from all of the other pages in your website. You should lead your title tag with a keyword, followed by a location, and if there is room, your company name. Now, this is not the end-all be-all, this is just a suggestion. Be sure not to repeat any words. Each part should be separated by a divider. You can use things like dashes, pipes, underscores, or commas. I personally choose pipes because it takes up less space. I tend to avoid using commas and underscores in the titles whenever possible. As you can see from here, the title tag is used in the web browser to identify the page that you are on. It also gets used in the search results. A meta description has one simple purpose: to get someone searching to click your link. While the description does not directly affect search rankings, it indirectly does based on click-through rate, which is a ranking factor. Without a meta description defined, you are letting Google and other search engines decide for you what to display to the searcher. As you can see by these examples, the first one has a clear call to action. It is learn how to use it to your advantage. And in our second example, they incorporated the focus keywords. Now let's go discover how you can edit titles and descriptions in WordPress. When it comes to editing our meta titles and descriptions in WordPress, there are some different ways to do it based on what theme you have installed, what plugins you may have installed. We're going to give a general overview here. So when it comes to a title for the page, by default, WordPress is going to use what you have here as your meta title. Now you can go into the appearance customize options and be able to control the site title. What that will do is make that the default for the home page, but in addition on your sub pages, it will now take what you have here and then add that to it, which could make your title too long for the best optimal results. Now, using a plugin like SEO Framework, you have control right within the page settings to set what you would like as your meta title and meta description. And it'll come up and tell you, based on the character count, are you in a good range, a bad range, etc. Another popular plugin is called Yoast SEO, and they also, right on the page for your post, have the ability to edit your title and description tags. Now, one thing with their title, they allow you to use these little snippets that are set from the Yoast setting pages. So as we were talking about the separator within the title, you can control what you have as a separator on there in those settings. So hopefully that gives you a good general idea on how to edit your meta title and description within WordPress. Headings are a piece of HTML code that allow you to make certain words stand out on a page. To help you understand how headings work on a web page, let's consider an article in a magazine or newspaper. The title of the article is usually bigger and more pronounced than the other words. An H1 tag is similar. It tells both the user and the search engine what your page is about. The H1 should contain your primary keyword. The H1 tag is the most important heading because it is at the highest level. Search engines give it more weight. So what about H2, H3, H4, H5, and H6? These are all subheadings, or ways to organize your content into sections. Each subheading should also be relevant to your keywords. Let's take a look at our examples on the screen. On the left, we have an H1, which is our main title, called SEO Optimization. We next have a subsection, or an H2, called OnPage. If you look at our next subsection, or H2 level, it's OffPage. Underneath each of our H2s, we have subsections, or our H3, which could be content, performance, tags. In the off-page realm, it's backlinks, social sharing. Underneath our H3, we have a subsection, or an H4. So if you look on the on-page and the subsection of tags, our triple subsection would be meta. In a real-life scenario, we take a look at WordPress.org, and as you can see, the H1 is their title of their page. Their H2s are our mission, our story. The H3s, which fall underneath our mission, the technology, the details, the people. A good tool for checking the heading tags of a website can be found at rankdaddy.com/H1. The sitemap is an XML file which tells search engines and others about every important page of your website. A sitemap gets submitted via the Google Search Console and the Bing Webmaster Tools. We will go over that process later in the training. For now, you just need to know a good XML sitemap acts as a roadmap for your website. Robots.txt, in a nutshell, is a file that gives instructions about the website to web robots, also known as bots, This file tells them what is okay and what is not. Now for the best part. If you're using WordPress, there are free plugins which create and manage these files for you. Yoast SEO or the SEO framework, which we talked about during meta tags, will both manage these files. Schema markup. This is an area that can be very important to you in local SEO. We are not going to go into very much detail on schema in this lesson. We just need to make sure that you are aware of it. We will cover schema more in depth in a later lesson. Schema markup is code that you put on your website to help search engines return more informative results to a user. One of the key areas schema can help is using local business markup. You can pass phone number, address, the GPS coordinates, the hours of service, payment information, and tons more. Learn more about schema at schema.org. Again, those of you using WordPress, there are several free plugins which can manage this for you. WP SEO Structured Data Schema is one that I often use. Let's look at some example schema markups. Our top example, they're passing their ratings. They've got a 5-star rating or a 4.8 rating, but it gives 5 stars. That's all coming from the web page with schema markup. In our next example, the Long Center in Austin is passing events that are going on specific dates, what the title of the event is. And in our last example, Wikipedia is passing information about the Mary Poppins film, such as who wrote the music, the book it was based on, and who produced it, all via schema markup. We just went over a lot of inner working details of a web page. If you're feeling overwhelmed or thinking this is not for you, remember you have a full team of SEO specialists here to help you. You can partner with SEO Outsource and have the OnPage SEO work done for you. That wraps up our video on page anatomy. In our next video, we'll take a look at technical SEO. At any point throughout these trainings, if you have any questions, please post them to the Facebook group. The Rank Daddy community would love to help you figure it out.